welcome back to Family Time Devotions. We're glad you're here with us today for this Wednesday edition. Wednesday is a big day for the youth department, I understand.
It is. Today, this evening, we are kind of gathering for the first time in a long time. Well, actually only half of us are gathering at the high school. We're having a high school celebration tonight at the house, which used to be where a New Identity met. Now the youth have kind of moved in, and you need to come by and check it out because there's been so much work done. Dennis and Catherine Seals have kind of taken the lead on that. The kitchen looks amazing. Bonnie Parker has kind of done the interior decorating, kind of planned it all out, and we've got some new furniture over there. Of course, if you drove by, if you've seen the outside, we have a brand new deck and a handicap ramp that Gary Bidney kind of took the lead. Donnie Hester and Randy Ellis helped with that. We're so appreciative of all those people, and there's probably others I'm not thinking of. I know Bradley Seals has helped a lot, and others have helped. But the place looks fantastic. We're excited about getting everybody together over there tonight, and having a celebration and honoring the class of 2020. You know, the class of 2020 is, it's been different than any other class before. Not actually been able to finish the year. They are planning to do a graduation, though, like the Saudi Daisy is going to do theirs, I think, on the 27th at the school. And so at least they're able to have a graduation, but so much has been different for that class.
Absolutely. Isn't it a blessing when people who have special gifts and abilities step up and do serve in that way? You know,
you're exactly right. And it's interesting because back before the pandemic, back in I guess early March, we did, our youth leaders got together and we did a little survey that basically asked them where your passions are in one sense. What do you like to do? Well, we had no clue that Bonnie Parker loved interior decorating until she filled out the sheet that said that. Well, one thing led to another. We started talking about the house. She got all excited. Next thing I knew, we had this detailed layout of what it could look like. And we just kind of have gone from there. So she kind of laid it all out, and she has led the way in the furnishings and stuff like that. And the place looks fantastic. I'm so appreciative of her and Catherine and Dennis especially that have worked on the inside. But that is going to be a place that, you know, the students are really going to be able to utilize. And in other parts of the church, if they're interested in using it, I mean, we're definitely open to them using it also. But it looks so fantastic now.
How neat. Well, today we come back to Proverbs chapter 12, and we're going to pick up where we left off Monday with verse 5, verse 6, and then we'll see where our time allows from there. So why don't you read that?
Okay, I'll read 5 and 6. It says, "The thoughts of the righteous are just. The counsels of the wicked are deceitful. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright delivers them."
I love the thought that those who are righteous are those who are seeking what pleases God.
Yeah.
Their intentions, their thoughts are just. You don't have to wonder where the hidden agenda is. What are they actually up to when they tell you something or when they advise you in some way, because they're trying to please God. They're not trying to please themselves. They're not trying to please other people. Their heart is to please God. And so therefore, when they give you advice, when they give their thoughts about what's going on in your life, you can accept the fact that they're working for the best interest of all people involved in this situation. It's not like the other side of this.
Right.
When he says the counsels of the wicked are deceitful. The counsels of the wicked are deceitful. Those who, their reasoning for giving input is selfishly motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know people like this, and unfortunately, in my past, I've been a person like this at times, where the advice I gave you was based on what was best for me, not what was best for the person who's receiving the advice, but what was going to benefit me the most.
And you think about what a dangerous thing that is if somebody's in leadership. Because not only are they making decisions that impact a few people, but potentially a lot of people. And the New Living Translation, I was looking at it, reading it also on this passage, but it words this: the advice of the wicked is treacherous. So in other words, when you listen to people that are not following God's path, it is treacherous. It's dangerous to do that because it always leads people ultimately to destruction.
Absolutely. And in fact, he tells us that in verse 6. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood. This is a bloody ambush, something you don't see coming, you weren't looking for, you didn't expect, but there they are seeking to destroy. They're looking to devour and to hurt. But the intentions of the righteous, the God-honoring, their words deliver to those who listen. They're working for the glory of God. And so it makes such a significant difference. It's a blessing and a benefit to the person that's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kim, you want to skip on down and look at a few of the verses? Well, one of the verses that I thought was really interesting is verse 11. And it says in the ESV, it says, whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense.
Wow.
Let me read it out loud, the New Living Translation, because I like it too. It says, a hard worker has plenty of food, but a person who chases fantasies has no sense. It talks about somebody that works the land here. I think the Jewish people probably understood agriculture. They understood, having to grow crops. That if you want to have food, you got to work. You got to work hard. You got to spend time to grow that food. But the flip side is the lazy. Somebody that just wants to chase fantasies but doesn't want to work hard. Those are the people that the Bible says lack sense or has no sense. And, we see at different times in the book of Proverbs that hard work, being a hard worker is a virtue. Being somebody that's not afraid to get their hands dirty, somebody that's willing to really work hard, God blesses those kind of people. And the flip side is the opposite. Somebody that's lazy, they basically reap their laziness. They get nothing in return.
Apostle Paul talks about this some in the New Testament. When Jerusalem was going through a difficult time, other parts of the world were having a lot of difficulties and people were doing without. The church had come together and were helping other people. But the Apostle Paul said, it's one thing to help, but if someone refuses to work, they just need to go hungry. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a learning process in which they learn to work. If we're just always handing them out what we have, then there's no sense in working. I'm going to get it for free.
Right.
But Paul says if they won't work, let them not eat.
Right. A couple other verses let's hit real quick. I'm just going to read those out of the New Living Translation. It says, fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. A fool is quick-tempered, but a wise person stays calm when insulted. So let's take that first one. Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. I just thought about again how, having the counsel of others in your life that love you and speak wisdom to your life is so critical. Nobody has it all figured out. There's nobody. The person that thinks they have it all figured out, they're the ones, they're the fools, really. But the wise person listens to others, takes others' advice, listens to counsel of others. And that's so important. That's so important as a Christian that we have others in our lives that are speaking truth into us. Because we need that's why we have the church, really, is to support and encourage one another at times. And that's such an important part of growing in Christ.
This is one of the things that makes me appreciate our church so much. And allow me to explain, because early in my ministry, 22 years ago now, early in my ministry here, I took an assessment test that sums this up pretty well. It says, he loves to follow rules as long as they're his own rules. I had that mindset that I knew what to do, and you need to follow. You need to listen. You need to jump in here. And as long as you agreed with what I thought was going to work, then everything was fine. If you didn't agree with me, then we had a problem. And thankfully, our church allowed me to grow and mature through that stupidity, allowed me to move beyond some of that ignorance, to see through failures, through problems, through difficulties that, you know what, I don't have the answers. I'm struggling to figure this out just like anybody else, and I need the input. I value the input of others more now than I ever have, and that's a continuing process for me of understanding how deeply I need the involvement of other people in what's happening.
Well, I think our culture almost has promoted that, it's a sign of weakness if you need others. Mm-hmm. And the Bible teaches absolutely opposite. The Bible teaches that we need the counsel of other people. And, how foolish and how prideful it is to think that we can we have all the answers ourselves. Yeah. But you're right, especially as a young leader, I bought into that a lot more. Through some failures, though, I learned, hey, I better listen to the counsel of some other people. Yeah. And, so I think that also is, we talked about this on Monday, a prideful thing, that to think, that you're right in your own eyes. I mean, that is a dangerous place to be. Let's because I think verse 16 is a really important verse. A fool is quick-tempered, but a wise person stays calm when assaulted. It's amazing, but you can lose all your credibility as a Christian in about 5 seconds.
You're right.
I mean, because you can say all the right things, but you blow it, get upset, and it's amazing. I've seen this. I've seen it with leaders in the past where they get upset so quickly, and when you get upset, you say things you just shouldn't say. And all their credibility is just lowered so quickly. And it's easy to do, though. It's easy just to say, well, that ain't right, And I think about today, people getting on Facebook and saying things that, first of all, Facebook, when you say stuff, it's dangerous anyway, because people can interpret it a lot of ways. But you get on there and just let people have it on Facebook, that is never a wise thing to do, never. But the quick-tempered man, he really does hurt his credibility by being that way.
I love the old saying, it may be a proverb, I'm not positive, but it says, it's better to keep your mouth quiet and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove any doubt.
Exactly. I think, we need to, as believers, it's so important that we thoughtfully think through how to respond to something that's insulting to us. That we don't just, let our tongue loose. Because, there's other passages in the Bible that talks about a soft answer. Talks about how we respond to people. That is I think something that's so missing today, that's such a critical part of us being a church, is how we deal with people that disagree with us. People that have different beliefs than us. People that, stand on opposite sides of our cultural beliefs than we. Well, how do we respond to those people? Do we respond in hate, it almost seems like? Or do we respond thoughtfully in love?
Right.
Because you know what? Ultimately, apart from the grace of God, I might be somebody that's saying exactly the same things as what they're saying. And I think we forget that. We forget it's because of God's grace. And if God's grace can change me, guess what? It can change them also.
Absolutely.
So am I looking at them as somebody that's my enemy or somebody that God's called me to reach with the same grace He reached me with?
Well, what a really convicting note to end on. Huh?
I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but yeah.
Well, I think we do need to bring it, to a conclusion right there. Thank you again for joining us today. We love you, we appreciate you, and we're here for you. If you need us, please let us know. All right, we'll see you Sunday morning. If you haven't already registered for the service, you still can. If you get here and you forgot to do that, then we won't push you out the door, but it would help us if you signed up, okay? Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you Sunday.